Like Plastic, Episode 4, Chapter 16, Vlad's Back. Late in the evening, Vladimir Shakarov walks through the spacious rooms of his villa, admiring the new decor, which is pale and minimalist. A swatch book has been left on the back of a sofa, and he flicks through some of the material samples, all of which seem to be subliminal variations on cream. He smiles, thinking of Anna. Of course, Vladimir is putting a brave face on it, but he's all at sea in this new style world. He looks into one room and turns on a light to see that it's full of cardboard boxes, loaded up with the gaudy and vulgar objects that have been replaced, all gold and crystal and excessively ornamented. He pulls a garishly lavish gold clock from one of the boxes and looks at it longingly, trying desperately to work out what's so wrong with it. A phone rings in the other room, and he casually tosses the clock back into the box with a clatter and walks out again. A uniformed maid is heading for the phone, but he waves her away genially and answers it himself. His face immediately brightens. It's Anna. Anna is in the ostentatious sitting room of the Shakirovs' London home. It's empty most of the time because Alexei lives in his own apartment, and consequently nobody has yet seen fit to update the decor. Anna intends to change that. Of course, Boris, who's sitting next to her, thinks the room looks quite wonderful as it is. "Hello, Daddy." She adopts a slightly graver tone and says, "Well, I think I can solve this problem, but it would still be best if you came over. Sergei and Mickey are in the hospital, so is Mikhail, all lucky to be alive. I think Alexei is losing control of everything." Anna smiles as she listens to her father's response, and Boris smiles too by association. Then she says, "Don't worry, I'll be careful, and I have Boris here. See you tomorrow, Daddy." Anna puts the phone down, and Boris says, "How did he take it?" "Okay, he told me to be careful." "He's right," says Boris protectively. "This Japanese is dangerous." Anna nods but doesn't seem entirely convinced and says, "We don't know that for sure. I mean, I don't think he put the fireworks in Sergei's car." Boris grudgingly acknowledges the point. "If we talk to him, we might find him very reasonable." "Yes, it wouldn't hurt to talk to him," admits Boris. "Good. Get me all the information we have on the Sasakis, and then we'll see. Maybe it's Alexei who's unreasonable." Boris shifts uneasily in his seat, knowing that she's right about Alexei at least. He's content, though, more than he has been for a long time, because Anna is here, and his boss and old friend, Vladimir, will be arriving tomorrow. It's as close to old times as they'll ever be likely to see again. Anna looks around the room and says, "We must get rid of all these horrible furnishings." Chapter 17, One Thrilling Moment. Alexei is sitting up in bed, looking sulky and disappointed. A high-class and slightly bemused prostitute is finishing getting dressed. She turns to him and says, "I'm not going to tell you it happens all the time because, frankly, with me, it doesn't." At first, it looks like Alexei won't answer, but finally he says petulantly, "You're not what I ordered." "You asked for a natural blonde, and I am a natural blonde." Like he's been swindled and can't do anything about it, he says. "I asked for a blonde with carpets and curtains that matched. I didn't expect stripped floorboards, if you get what I'm saying." The prostitute is still bemused and mocks him, saying, "Oh, I get what you're saying. Ask for a hairy girl next time, or if you give me plenty of notice, I could wear a merkin." She can't help giggling at his expense, but he stares at her with such intensity that she stops and says, "Just having a laugh with you, that all?" "You can go now." She nods, realizing she's probably pushed her luck as far as she can with a man like this. She stands, but immediately looks down at the floor and points. "These rabbits are crapping all over the floor." Alexei doesn't answer, and the prostitute starts to pick her way toward the door, avoiding rabbits and droppings en route. Then she notices the unusual wooden display case for the first time. She double takes and moves toward it as she says, "What do you keep in here, then?" Before her hand has even reached up to open the doors, Alexei has appeared behind her with astonishing speed and forcefully pushes her out through the bedroom door. She turns to face him, slightly shocked, and he tries to look casual as he says, "Nothing that concerns you. Now, please leave." She shrugs and leaves, having seen too much in life to be fazed by anyone's weird tricks. Alexei closes the bedroom door and opens up the display case. He smiles, immediately transported by the sight of his collected trophies. He's already becoming excited, and then, for a brief, thrilling moment, one of the rabbits brushes against his ankle. Chapter 18: Plastic Abused. Alexei is in his office, sitting in his chair with his gun, pretending to shoot at imaginary targets. He swivels around, imagining himself like James Bond. Then he stops because he can hear a phone ringing, not in his office, but somewhere close by. He springs out of his seat and dashes for the door. The ringing phone is on the secretary's vacant desk. He needs a new secretary, he thinks, in a memo to self. Alexei manages to pick up the phone before it rings off and says urgently, "Hello? Is that Alexei Shakirov?" "Yes, this is Alexei Shakirov." The man on the other end introduces himself, and Alexei is suddenly panicked and struggling to get a grip on the moment. He takes a deep breath and actually produces a slightly disturbing attempt at a charming smile before speaking again. "Mr. Sasaki, I'm so glad you called. I know there's been a terrible misunderstanding." His smile becomes painfully fixed as he listens to Sasaki, and he isn't really taking in what the man is saying, only that it's something about wanting to meet. "Yes, I'd love to meet. Why don't you come over to my office around 12 noon if that's okay with you, and I'm sure we'll get it all sorted out in no time." Sasaki says something else, though what it is, he can't be sure because the blood is boiling in his ears. "No, thank you for being so understanding, Mr. Sasaki. I'll look forward to seeing you. Bye." Struggling, he puts the phone down and takes another deep breath, then begins to relax, almost as if he's just self-medicated. He starts to laugh, surprising even himself, and for some strange reason, he can't stop. Some 2 hours later, Roku arrives in the lobby of the Shakirov headquarters. It's empty. Not even the receptionist is about. "Hello," says Roku. "Is anybody there?" He can think of lots of reasons why the reception desk might be empty, but he's also suspicious, mindful of his previous experiences with this organization. There is a bell on the reception desk, the old-fashioned kind sometimes found on the front desks of hotels. He's hesitant about using it, but when it becomes apparent that no one is going to come, he hits the bell, its ring echoing a little too loudly through the glass and marble lobby. Meanwhile, a bell also rings as the doors open on an elevator in the Rathbone Hotel. A moment later, Anna Shakirov steps out of that elevator and strides along the corridor until she reaches the door to the Sasaki's suite. She knocks, and a moment later Yuko opens the door. "Mrs. Sasaki?" "Yes?" "I'm Anna Shakirov. Regrettably, I'm the sister of the person who's been causing your family some sort of difficulty. Both my father and I are very unhappy about it, and we'd like to smooth things over if that's at all possible." Yuko's English is very good. Even so, it takes her a moment to catch up, and then she says, "Oh, I see. Do you know the nature of the difficulty your brother has caused?" "No, I don't," says Anna, though she dreads to think. "I was hoping we might talk about that. Would you like to talk over lunch?" "What a wonderful idea. I'd love to. Please do come in for a moment. How about a drink?" Roku is still standing in the empty lobby, the sound of the bell still dying away, when the security guard from his last visit appears. He smiles disarmingly at Roku and says, "Mr. Sasaki, sorry to keep you, if you'll follow me." "Thank you," says Roku. "I rang the bell." "That's fine, if you just follow me." The guard seems much more friendly this time, but he leads Roku through a door to the side of the elevators, and Roku is already suspicious that he isn't being shown to Mr. Shakirov's office. The guard reaches another door and stands aside to let Roku enter. It's an empty security room, a bank of monitors showing mainly desolate corridors. This reminds Roku of a scene in a famous film, but he doesn't have time to think which one it is because he's no sooner stepped inside than the guard rabbit punches him on the back of the neck. The punch sends Roku flying across the room and onto the floor. As he tries and fails to get back to his feet, the guard closes the door and walks slowly across the room to him. The guard is almost sympathetic as he stands over Roku and says, "Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you, just softening you up a bit for Mr. Shakirov." Roku is still struggling to get up when the guard kicks him in the stomach, knocking him back down. Roku coils into a fetal position and rolls onto his back, clutching his stomach, knees drawn up, moaning. The guard smiles, pleased that he's such a pushover, but Roku is feigning, lulling his opponent into a false sense of victory. The guard isn't exactly what you would call high definition, and, mocking Roku, he says, "Remind me, why's everyone so scared of..." The final word is intercepted by the force of Roku's foot flying heel first into the guard's crotch, Roku having sprung his leg swiftly out of its fetal recoil. The security guard makes a noise like all the air being sucked out of his lungs and staggers backwards. Roku jumps to his feet and hurls a wheeled office chair at him, but the guard is regrouping quickly and looking like someone with many additional levels of violence. Roku looks around desperately and suddenly notices on the desk, next to a mug of coffee, an issue of Brett Plastic. It's an English version, but from the cover, Roku knows that it's the iconic issue number 3459. Outraged, Roku says, "You read Brett Plastic?" Baffled, the guard says only, "What?" Roku throws the cup of coffee over him, and then, with lightning speed, he rolls up the comic and hits the guard in the face and neck with it, using several swift stabbing punches until the guard collapses onto the floor. Roku runs out into the lobby, certain the guard won't be down for long. He hesitates, but then an alarm goes off and he drops the comic book on the floor and walks quickly into the street. If it's issue number 59 they want, it's issue number 59 they'll get. The iconic issue number 59 of Brett Plastic is remembered mostly for its concluding pages. Brett, having been lured into a trap and surrounded by large numbers of vicious adversaries, is apparently doomed. The next page is entirely blank, and then follows a short series of whole-page pictures, starting with a close-up of Brett's face and slowly retreating to reveal the entire scene. It was not announced as such at the time, but issue 59 was the last to appear. Once again, many believe that Kazuo Yamaguchi always planned to end the series at this point, and much speculation has surrounded the significance of the number 59. Others have pointed out that, with the emergence of the plastic perfume brand, the plastic underwear ranges for men and women, and the upcoming Brett Plastic, the movie, Yamaguchi might simply have tired of the original format. Yamaguchi himself has always refused to comment.